I told my in-laws they are never watching my daughter again, and I did it at her birthday party in front of everyone while my mother-in-law was still holding the cake. So, am I the problem? Okay, some context because I know how that opening sounds. My husband is Derek. We've been married 4 years, together for 6. His parents, Marlene and Gary, live about 20 minutes from us, which in the early days felt like a gift. We both work full time. Childcare is expensive. When our daughter Piper was born, Marlene basically volunteered herself as the primary babysitter before we even asked. 2 days a week, sometimes three, and honestly, we were grateful. Genuinely. For the first year and a half, it was great. Marlene adored Piper. Gary would take her to the park and come back with like 40 photos. It felt like the arrangement everyone dreams about. But here's the thing about arrangements that feel too good, they tend to come with terms you didn't know you agreed to. Little by little, Marlene started doing things differently than we asked. We said no screen time before nap. We'd come home and Piper would be parked in front of cartoons, wide awake, overtired, and wired. We said no sugary snacks after 4 o'clock because she wouldn't eat dinner. We'd pick her up and find out she'd had a cupcake at 5:30. Small stuff, right? Grandparent stuff. Derek kept saying, "They're helping us, babe, let it go." And I kept letting it go until I couldn't. The thing that actually broke me wasn't the screen time. It wasn't even the snacks, it was the ear piercing. Piper is 3 years old, and I came to pick her up one Thursday and my daughter had tiny gold studs in her ears. I stood in Marlene's doorway and I genuinely thought I was hallucinating. I said, "Marlene, what did you do?" And she smiled, she actually smiled and said, "Oh, don't make a fuss. Every little girl gets her ears pierced. I had mine done it too." I said, "She is not your little girl. You do not make that call." Marlene's smile went flat. She said, "You're being dramatic. It's just earrings." Dramatic. I called Derek on the way home and I was shaking. And his first response was, "Okay, but they're just earrings, babe." I pulled over. I sat in a parking lot for 10 minutes because I did not trust myself to drive. When I got home, I told Derek very clearly, until his mother apologized and acknowledged that she had made a medical decision for our child without our consent. She was not watching Piper. He said I was overreacting. I said, "She pierced our daughter's ears without asking us." He said, "My mom loves Piper." "Those are not the same thing, Derek." I said that out loud. He did not have an answer. We went back and forth for 2 weeks. 2 weeks of Derek running interference, me using emergency backup childcare, Marlene texting me things like, "I hope we can move past this," without ever actually saying sorry. Not once. And then Piper's third birthday arrived, and we were all supposed to show up and act normal. Party was at our house. Backyard streamers, the little inflatable pool Piper had been asking about for a month. Marlene and Gary showed up with a massive gift bag, and Marlene went straight for Piper like nothing had happened. Hugging her, kissing her cheek, pointing at the earrings, and saying to the other guests, "Don't you love these? I surprised her with them." She said it like it was a fun story, like it was a cute thing she'd done. Something in me just snapped. Derek was on the other side of the yard. My sister was standing right next to me. And I walked over to Marlene and I said quietly, not shouting, "I want to be clear about that." I said, "I need you to know that after today, you won't be watching Piper anymore. What you did wasn't a surprise. It was overstepping and you still haven't said you're sorry, so this is where we land." Marlene stared at me. Then she looked around to see who was listening. And then she burst into tears. Full, immediate tears. Gary put his arm around her and looked at me like I'd slapped her. Derek came over, took one look at his mother crying, and said, "Really? Right now? It's her birthday party." And every head in that backyard turned toward me. My sister grabbed my arm. My own mother, who had heard the whole ear-piercing story, gave me this look that I couldn't fully read, like she agreed with me but also thought my timing was unhinged. Maybe it was. I know how it looked. I know Marlene cried through most of the party. I know Derek barely spoke to me for the rest of the weekend, but I also know that if I had waited for a better moment, that moment would never have come. Marlene would have kept showing up, kept doing exactly what she wanted, and kept calling it love. A few weeks later, Derek came to me and said his parents wanted to sit down and talk. He asked me to give them another chance. He did not ask me if I was okay. I noticed that. So here I am. Piper's ears have healed fine, in case you're wondering. Marlene and Gary have not watched her since the party, and Derek and I are somewhere. Not broken, not fixed, somewhere in the middle of a conversation that doesn't seem to have an end. Marlene did eventually send me a text. It said, "I'm sorry you feel I overstepped." Which, as apologies go, you can decide what that's worth. I did not respond. Derek thinks I should have. My sister thinks I should frame it. And I honestly don't know anymore where the line is between standing your ground and burning something down that maybe didn't need to burn. I had every right to be furious, I know that. But did I pick the worst possible moment out of spite? Maybe. Probably. I can't fully rule it out. So, am I the problem here? Honestly, though, what would you have done? Comment below.